To what degree are the changes making a difference to platforms, and at what cost to the platforms to bring themselves up to that level of scale, so that come the 1st of July 2013 you'll be ready to actually deliver what the planners want? And again, I'll start with you, Kelly.
The challenge is in the implementation, and from our perspective we really see it as a zero-sum game. There's a lot of effort going into something that ultimately will not result in any net benefit to the investor or the consumer. And really the cost to the industry has been, certainly from a platform perspective, has been an opportunity cost of lack of innovation. So we've spent at least 2 years, and there's probably another 12 months of really processing regulatory change with very little innovation in our industry, looking at issues like retirement solutions, longevity solutions, and issues that again would have a material impact on consumers' well-being that just aren't being addressed.
But you know, interestingly enough, you then get to the stage of saying, should the platform industry be stepping up? Well, is it an IT industry? You know, it's a good question. I'm not sure if it knows the answer itself. It has IT, but I don't think it knows whether or not it's consumer-driven or we're the back office of the planner. So it will step up to the service level and say, we can help your back office. But the real issue is at advisor level, whether or not the advisor wants to continue with that business model or not. Because it's quite simple. If you have 1,000 clients, you don't have to do very much going forward, but the value of your business will decline over 10 to 15 years. That's your choice. Conversely, you're seeing more and more people tidy up their businesses to say, I shouldn't have 1,000 clients, I should have 100 or 200, and I should charge them an appropriate amount. So I put that into two separate categories. The historical older practices with thousands of clients, primarily made up of the old life industry, primarily, and the new emerging guys who don't see any issue on it. And I think the platform industry will do a terrific job in providing some form of solution, but I suspect other partners will come in and say, we have a technology solution as well.
I agree with parts and disagree with parts. I think that absolutely platforms can step up and play a role in the execution of opt-in or opt-out, and that they can provide a valuable role in, and they can help support, I guess, efficient enablement of advice to the masses. And I think that that's the bit I disagree with, which is you can actually provide affordable advice. We can actually support advisors in providing affordable advice and efficient advice through things like templates, bulk opt-in, bulk disclosure notices, by the way that we report and the way we operate. So it can mean that those clients that potentially would be low value if there wasn't an inefficient opt-in model put in place can still be a part of the advice process and can still have access to that type of affordable advice. So I guess that's my first point to Ian's point. To Renato's point around continuing the fact that we can't innovate and do anything interesting because we're spending a lot of money on legislative change. I actually think there is an opportunity to be a leader from a platform's perspective by the way that you feed into the opt-in and to the FOFA changes. So if you provide thought leadership, if you provide support, if you provide really efficient solutions that are very intuitive and are very in line with what advisors need to do to run their business model, then you will win. And I think that you can, become quite a strong competitor out of that. So that's sort of.
So here is the first contentious part. So I agree entirely with what you're saying about leadership. I think it's a really, really good time for the industry to step back and take a leadership position, because FOFA was brought into the industry because of lack of leadership of key figureheads in the wealth management industry, not planners, key figureheads who drove the industry. And you're now seeing figureheads in the industry offering planners to join the networks to sell their products, which are the platforms. Now that is not a leadership step forward. That sounds like the 1980s and the AMP and National Mutual to me. And I think it's not a good step. But to go back to the issue of opt-in, it confuses me as to why the back office technology part of the equation would step in to solve opt-in when in fact the front office technology can do so. So you can have vendors like Coin and Iris and other parties.
So it's probably taking Ian's point. I mean, the stat is that your average advisor still has more than, between 2 and 3 platforms that they deal with. So you think about it from an advisor's perspective, if one platform provides it and one platform doesn't, and that advisor uses both of those platforms, then they don't have a solution.
Eric, you're obviously not on the front line where delivery of the services and around opt-in is concerned, but on the other hand, you are basically surveying advisors reasonably frequently. Yeah, I mean, what's your take on what's been discussed by the panel so far?
Yeah, you're right. Not actually on the front line, but speaking to many of the planners and getting feedback from them and getting a good insight to what they're after. And I think to the point, you know, most planners actually just want help. There's a little bit of me that actually says, you know, reading between the lines of the empirical data, it actually says, I just want some help to effectively run my business so I can focus on my clients and do a good job for them.
And I think the advisors are concerned about opt-in. The advisors are concerned about platforms owning it in their own right and forcing a single platform position, because if the customer opts out, who owns the client? If they use more than one platform, how do you aggregate it? In some ways it makes much more sense to do it at the front end than it does at the back end, because it's forcing you to take responsibility across. And in it all, I think the client is going to be completely confused. And frankly, we all know that advisors cannot pay for this service.